onto our review of Godzilla the Series. Now, this is another great episode.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that they just keep on with the themes in this series so far, and one of the themes is just the incompetence of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, right off the bat, you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. So before we start with the review, we're doing episode number 3, and the way that we're reviewing this is we're doing chronological order. So that's going to be an episode called Trash Talk. I know depending on what you watched, there's an air date order. We're doing chronological because we're also going to be covering the missing episodes that never aired. And, in this story, they paint the boat, and then in the next episode, the boat's going to be painted. It's not going to make any sense if you watched it out of order. Yes. So we're going chronological on this one. And, so this is Talkin Trash, and it's a pretty cool little episode. So there's been a sanitation strike for 5 weeks, and basically the mayor's like, I got to get some results here or people are going to start getting real angry. It's starting to pile up in the street. So we need a solution. And apparently what the mayor's office has decided would be the most cost-effective solution to this strike is not by settling the labor dispute between the sanitation workers. It would be cheaper to invent nanorobots that eat garbage. So that's where he's decided to spend the taxpayers' dollars. And they do this trial in the lab, and the nanobots don't know what the difference between garbage and regular things are. So they just try to eat everything in sight, which doesn't go well. Apparently they can't eat glass, though, because they can be held inside a glass container. But they just try to eat everything in sight. And the scientist is like, this is a really dangerous technology. We're not ready yet. This isn't going to be ready. Yeah. And the mayor's...
And his boss is like, it's got to be ready tomorrow. and we're using it. You're fired.
We're using it.
It's not. And it almost eats one of the lab aides. You're like...
What? Yeah, it almost eats a person.
The dude was there. He was in the room. He almost witnessed somebody die. And he's like, that's fine.
Yeah. So... cut to the next. Well, we're gonna cut back to Heat, and they're painting their boat. They're having a good time and everything like that. And Nigel is kind of doing some underwater discovery and finds Godzilla's lair, which is very MonsterVerse, where it's like you have to go into this tunnel underground, and then they come up and they're in this big cave that's got
exactly
air.
What I was thinking too. I was like, yeah, It's very similar to his underwater lair in the Monsters. He's you got to go through a tunnel, and then it comes up into this underground cave.
Yeah, with air, with oxygen and everything like that. So it was pretty cool. And now Nigel has been hacked. Though this iteration of Nigel, because again, Nigel is Kenny and dies every episode. This has Craven's mom's voice now. So no longer is it making pop culture references. It's now just acting like a stereotypical Brooklyn Jewish mother, which is hilarious. I don't know if it would fly in this day and age for them to do that, but still hilarious joke. A good prank to pull on a coworker.
Oh, it's great.
And
he's like, how did she even get the voice? And all the phrases, did you go to visit my mom and record these?
It's great. So it cuts to the next day, and they're going to do the demonstration. And if you know anything about New York, they have these barges out around Manhattan that are just filled with garbage. So they're like, we're going to demonstrate these bots. So they break the bot container into one of these barges with garbage, and it instantly starts eating everything and turns into a giant monster. Surprise, surprise. It wasn't ready overnight.
No.
So one thing that was really cool about this monster is kind of like an amalgamation of just a bunch of little bots that are like supposed to be like the size of a cell. So
it looks like a blob kind of.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it looks like a blob. So it took on a couple different forms in this one, and this first form is my favorite one because it looks like it went into the water and kind of was like, I'm gonna look somewhat crustacean-like.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess it figured that that was probably going to be its best way to travel inside of the water.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is Nigel goes over, he tries to shock the little bots out of commission and is instantly ripped apart and eaten because, again, it's Nigel and that's what needs to happen. And while fleeing, the bots get knocked into the water, starts chasing the boat, and it's like really starting to gain on the boat. And then, luckily before they get away, Randy's able to just get a little sample of the bots, keep them in a glass jar, and that's going to be studied for later. Did you want to take it from here?
So, part of also what we forgot to mention is the main thing that these nanotech bots were made to trigger was petroleum, because a lot of things are made with gas, plastic. So they're figuring you got bottles, garbage bags. That's its main target. So where were we? We end up in New Jersey. Right?
Yeah. We're officially in the waters of New Jersey.
Yes, which is the famous line that the New York mayor says it's New Jersey's problem now.
Yeah. So Godzilla pops up in the water, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's Godzilla! I thought Godzilla was dead. I thought the military killed Godzilla."
Yeah.
And then
they're like, "Well, the cat's out of the bag on that one."
Yeah, but then the mayor's just like, "That's New Jersey water. We don't have to deal with that at all." And just leaves.
Yeah. It's New Jersey's problem now.
Yeah.
It is kind of like, as New Yorkers, we're kind of anti-Jersey sometimes,
Yeah.
We always have that Jersey rivalry. We're not
Always.
anti-Jersey. Jersey rivalry, I would call it.
Well, one of the funny things, though, if you know anything about New York history, is we basically stole like Staten Island and Ellis Island from New Jersey. So, and all that was over water borders and water, just where is, like, which way does the water go? That's what we determined what was New York and what was New Jersey. So for him to be like, "Oh no, that's New Jersey water," it was just even funnier to me.
But they really put some good comedy in this.
Yeah. So Godzilla's trying to fight this thing. It's doing an okay job, but not the greatest job in the world.
Yeah, it kind of like just consumes Godzilla. Actually, you see Godzilla just coated in this stuff.
Yeah,
it looks like there's supposed to be nano, but it looks like slime. Honestly, it's like orange slime, and it's basically this whole fight's happening at like I don't know what you would call it. It's not an oil refinery, but it's like one of those facilities.
No, it was a refinery.
It's a refinery?
Yeah, it was a refinery.
It's a refinery. It's happening in an oil refinery.
but first there's a barge that they're a regular ship. It's a tanker.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes,
that this slime monster destroys.
Yeah, it just consumes like the whole entire ship.
Yeah, and now at this point it's turned to like this weird tentacly worm.
Yeah,
thing.
It's more like it's almost like a giant like graboid. Honestly,
yeah, like a graboid, but with like extra tentacles coming out of everywhere. Really weird design. This whole series has interesting designs. It always reminds me of the watch the Men in Black Saturday morning cartoon. It's a very similar art style.
Yeah, I mean, this whole monster gave me like clearly. I feel like, in my opinion, it was like Hedorah vibes.
Yes.
Smog monster. Like this is like the Godzilla series version of Hedorah, but pretty cool actually. It's not actually a monster. It's a robot, but it's like a slimy robot. It's a nanotech.
Yeah.
If you can't come up with an explanation for it, just call it nanotech.
Yeah, it's nanotech.
No, that's how it works. Everything works when it's nanotech.
Nanotech, not the same nanotech as Ratchet and Clank. That's a different nanotech.
No, different nanotech. Different nanotech from Ant-Man.
Different nanotech.
um, yeah, so they end up on land in New Jersey. Big fight. Um, uh, so back at their base of operations, they were like, "Oh, these things are robots." So like it's technology. We can just hack it, give it a virus. So they test it out. Virus works in the lab on a little controlled blob of it. So Godzilla's fighting this thing. They're like, it's not making any headway at all.
No, at this
And
point, it's way too big.
yeah, they're like, if it consumes all this gasoline in Jersey, it's gonna be the size of Manhattan. This monster. So we gotta do something. So they're like, all right, we're not gonna be able to hack this giant thing because clearly we can't touch it from here. So they drop the plan is to drop a hacked version with a virus into the monster. So Nick hops on the helicopter with the colonel and just kind of just tosses in like a jar with like
The contaminated nanobots in
it
it.
was contaminated nanobots, but there was like a clock on it. It looks like some like rigged like bomb, but it's not a bomb. And
this is a children's cartoon. We don't have bombs in it.
Yes. Yes, only the military shooting things and rockets and missiles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, they toss the thing in and it just hardens up, and Godzilla just shatters it with his atomic breath, and that's the end of the nanotech monster. I believe is actually what it was called.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a cool name, actually. Unfortunately, not a fun name for this one, but nanotech monster. And then Hicks was there, and he stopped an attack on Godzilla because the military is like, "Oh, Godzilla's alive now." After the whole fight, like, what should we do? And Hicks is like, "Oh, all that gas is there. You don't want to be firing rockets and stuff at that." And Godzilla gets to live another day, and he kind of turns to Nick and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna start running out of excuses to protect that lizard."
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the end of the episode. Pretty good little plot. Again, I don't understand how nanobots are cheaper than a union contract, but I guess it's cheaper.
Technology makes everything easier, right?
Yeah. But yeah, nice little episode. Enjoying the series. Again, we're going to be watching episode number 4 for next week. And that episode's title is, oh my God, I lost the list.
I believe it's DOA.
DOA? Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's called DOA.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching DOA episode number 4. Again, you can find the episode list. It's on the Mill Creek DVD set. So that's what we're using. Because they made it in chronological order and they added all of the unaired episodes. If you guys know anything about cartoon production, oftentimes, they work on pieces of these episodes, and oftentimes the network doesn't care. They just want an episode. So they'll just air whatever's ready. So, again, we're doing chronological.
It's like Clone Wars. They did that. It's all over the place.
Yeah, they did it with Batman the Animated Series as well.
Batman the Animated Series is nuts how over the place that was. Yeah, it's super out of order.